Yeah, I've been on both sides. Even as an ultra aggressive and persistent person in the business world, still stuff happens. But to your point, I'd rather be able to say 9 out of 10 times I win that business based on persistence and not the opposite of getting lucky 1 out of 10 times to win a deal.
Copy that. Love that. Okay, thank you, brother. Next round. This is called the challenge round. So it's the biggest loss thus far in your career that you've ever had to overcome. It goes like this. The question, what was that? And then what you learned, what it felt like then, and what it feels like now in hindsight. So we'll start at the beginning. The biggest challenge in your career thus far that you've had to overcome.
I would probably put 3 to 5 deals in that bucket. If I had to really count, and it's not just the deals that you put under contract and they didn't go anywhere. These are deals that I put hours upon hours of work into that collectively may have lost out on $500,000 to $1 million, if not more, in potential gross commissions. That really weren't my fault, but as a broker, you're sitting in the middle and you've got no real control over a transaction. You're really just being the mediator between the parties. My biggest regret, and again, I recognize they're out of my control now, is thinking those are going to get to the finish line. There's been deals where legitimately they've fallen apart at the 1 yard line that we've worked on for
You already spent or invested the money, man. It was already gone.
And I'm a big proponent of don't spend the money until you have it. But again, at the end of the day, like, you think you have it in the bag, and I'm not a wild spender by any means. I'm a very conservative guy. When I know I put time and effort into something, I want to be sure that my time was rewarded. And it's devastating psychologically to get to the 1 yard line and at the end of the day have nothing to show for it.
I think every salesperson, whether you're selling shirts in the mall to the biggest contracts, can relate to that, because it is tough to invest your time, energy, effort. You're communicating with this person. You're spending your life in this thing, and then you don't get the payoff at the end. It can be, as you stated, psychologically.
I take it unfortunately, very personally. Now that I have what I call staying power, and if a deal goes south or left or right, I'm not necessarily counting every possible missed penny or dollar. Where otherwise in previous years I would be doing that. It takes you to get to a point of success and doing this so many more. The amount of practice I have in deals far supersedes anything else. My real value that I can provide to clients is the amount of deals that I've actually closed, and have been in a situation to see the amount of deals that I could have closed if a small thing went another direction.
And so you're saying that for potential sellers out there, your experience is what you're actually bringing value in, because you know how to get the deal done.
I think that's the only thing. There's nothing marketing wise that I do. I may post a little bit on LinkedIn here and there, but by the way, that's not turning into real closed business. What you're hiring me for is, I look at it as whenever my commission is a deal, I'm an equity partner from the day you sign the listing agreement to the day that expired. I want to be sure that I operate as I'm an owner of that real estate, and I only get paid at deal closes. So you're basically compensating me for all of my wins and losses I've had before today, and I get to bring all of that experience into the deal that we're now doing.
Yeah, there was a meme going around, or a post about the plumber or something, that essentially was like, look, you can charge me for, the person was like, I want to pay $7 or something like that, or $10. He's like, go find that other guy. What you're paying me at $100 an hour is
for every millions of jobs that I did to get to where I am today. No question about it.
I appreciate that. And I agree, man. Experience is so valuable. In my space as a developer, walking through these things, you're talking about one misstep, man, could be so much money. You're talking about one thing that could have built different type of framing. There's so many things that you can do through experience. And then not only that, Stephen, being out and communicating with people who are A, smarter than you, B, have been in the business longer than you, and always be learning from their mistakes as well. That gets added to your experience bucket too. There's a lot of people that only just take their own experience and they use it and they think I'm the guy. But if I remain humble, me personally, and I can talk to other people who have done way bigger things than I have, and have conversations like this with guys like you, and learn I'm obviously not going to be able to go out and be a broker tomorrow, an auction broker, right? But I have a little bit more insight today than I did yesterday. So what I'm saying is having those conversations, going to conferences, continue to grow your network, people in the space, competitors, and people on your team, it just makes you in the end better. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep, agree with all of that.
Okay, so what it felt like then, we already talked about that. It was devastating to you. What it feels like now in hindsight, was that just earning your right, like your...
For me, when things go negative in my life, the one thing that is always the common denominator and what makes things feel less painful is just time. As time progresses, you don't think about those meaningless events when you really look back on it. There were good learning lessons. You take that with you, but the sting of all of it goes away.
And do you feel like, Stephen, that some of that now, if you lose a deal, I'm sure COVID was rough, in the brokers world. I know it hit some guys pretty hard. Does the sting of it dissipated just a bit, or it still hurts? Do you feel like the same amount, or I'm sure you're close?
It is 1% of what it felt like in the beginning. I don't even think I can viscerally feel. If someone called me right now, I'm looking at the deal that we're supposed to close next week, and it went completely south, I already know to the penny how much money I'm supposed to be making on that deal. Between now and, 3 months from now, I'm always going to be counting, on a compounded interest level, how much money that could have been over 20 years. But if we talked again 3 years from now, you'd be like, remember that deal went south? I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember. I've already done so many deals since then. You move on.
Shout out to all those tickers on the stock market that you lost on that continue to go through your mind for years and years and years.